Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden with another live presentation coming at you Tuesday, the 14th day of May, 2013. Tuesday, the 14th day of May in 2013. That's right, Dr. Peter Glidden, your friendly neighborhood naturopath, your steadfast advocate for health, asking you, what time is it in California? It's half past stupid. It's half past stupid in California, thanks to Angelina Jolie, who doesn't know her you-know-what from her elbow. For goodness sake, Angelina Jolie agrees to a double mastectomy because she tested positive for the BRCA gene, the dreaded BRCA gene. And the MDs told her, "Oh, Angelina, I'm so glad you came into the office today. Let me rub my palms together with glee, because now I'm going to make $5, $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 by cutting off your breasts. That's right. Here's what I want to do to the most beautiful woman in the world. Let me think about this for a minute. Oh, let me cut off your breasts, or so says Dr. Huff and Puff." Angelina Jolie agrees to have her breasts hacked off because she tests positive for what conventional medical science calls the BRCA gene. The BRCA gene, B-R-A-C-A, that's a fancy schmancy doctor nomenclature for a specific genetic component that they have characterized as a gene, a specific chromosomal component that they have characterized as a gene. Now, you know, they did the same thing to Dr. Wallach years ago. Dr. Wallach, when working at Emory University at Yerkes Primate Research Center, discovered that cystic fibrosis is not genetic. Now, conventional wisdom still says that cystic fibrosis is genetic, even though Wallach's research proved otherwise, because when you fly in the face of conventional wisdom, it takes about 100 years for that knowledge to sink in, because MDs are pig-headed SOBs who are in charge of your health, and you should be afraid, you should be very afraid when you're in the presence of the man or the woman in the white coat. And by the way, that's why you will never, ever see me with a picture wearing a white coat. You will never see it. You wouldn't see me in a picture wearing a white pointed hood either. You wouldn't see me in a picture wearing a swastika on my arm either. You're never going to see me wearing a white coat, because it is the garb of the enemy, and I am not exaggerating. They fired Dr. Wallach 30-plus years ago because he discovered that cystic fibrosis is not genetic. It's not a gene that codes for cystic fibrosis. It's a broken chromosome. It's a broken chromosome which has been misinterpreted as a gene region. For goodness sake, the most cutting-edge geneticists amongst us, if you know anything about genetics whatsoever, the people who are on the cutting edge of genetic research are not even referring to things as genes anymore. They're getting out of the habit. They're calling them gene regions. Gene regions. Because our knowledge about how chromosomes are knit together and what they do and how they work is growing exponentially every week. And yet, science plods along with massive amounts of inertia. You still have doctors prescribing horse hormones for menopause, for goodness sake. That's right, Premarin. You still have doctors prescribing Premarin for menopause, even though a leading side effect of Premarin is breast cancer, uterine cancer. You still have knucklehead medical doctors prescribing rat poison to thin your blood, even though we sued the Food and Drug Administration to prove that essential fatty acids thin the blood better. Oh, what's it going to be, Doc? Essential fatty acids or rat poison? Well, says Huff and Puff, I'm going to go with the rat poison every single solitary time, because that's what they taught me at Harvard. Huff and Puff. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. You are beneath the wheel, and you do not even know it. Angelina Jolie beneath the wheel, and she didn't even know it. We do not believe in Dr. Wallach and myself do not believe that the BRCA gene is a gene. We believe that it's a damaged chromosome caused by not enough selenium. That's what damaged the chromosomal area that led to the development of cystic fibrosis. So guess what? If you're a little fetus developing inside your mother at a particular time of fetal development, if your mother's blood doesn't have enough selenium in it, the gene that codes for the development of your lungs and other parts of your respiratory tract is funkified. It's funkified. It's like a ladder. You know, you've got a ladder and you've got the two stiles on either side and you've got the rungs that go across the middle of the ladder. Those are the things you stand on. Well, imagine if one of those rungs was bent or twisted or cut right in two. You stand up on that, baby. If it's weak enough and you're heavy enough, your foot's going to go right through it because it can't support you the way that it should. Well, when your gene is funkified because of not enough selenium, its messages, its encoding messages for the development of that particular part of your body at that particular moment in time become all messed up. It is not a gene. But medical scientists, because there's so much inertia inherently built in to the way that they look at things, even though Wallach proved it wasn't a gene 30 plus years ago, they're still saying it's a gene. Why? Because, well, Huff and Puff from Harvard says it's a gene, so I'll have to agree with Huff and Puff. There is very little intellectual courage inside of conventional medicine, very little. And there is a ton of cowardice, a ton of cowardice. There's no questioning that goes on. Some knucklehead MD said that the BRCA gene is a gene, and then 100 MDs say that the BRCA gene is a gene, and then it becomes a fact, whether it's a fact or not. Oh, and I guess Angelina Jolie's doctor didn't read the Journal of the American Medical Association's article that came out years and years ago that said that breast cancer, the occurrence of breast cancer can be reduced 82% by the simple addition of selenium into your daily diet, selenium in the form of selenomethionine. Optimally, the selenium that the Longevity Company promotes and produces, because their selenium recipe is the most superior one I've ever seen, produces the most remarkable results. And oh yeah, it was because of Wallach's lawsuit that we can say this. For goodness sake, why didn't Angelina Jolie's doctor tell her, well, I think you've got the BRCA gene, or we're not really sure if it's a gene or not, but our research shows that people with this gene often get breast cancer, and oh, by the way, if you take selenium, there's an 82% chance that you're not going to get breast cancer, so what I would recommend, Angelina, is you do watchful waiting and make sure you get 200 micrograms of selenium every day. That's what Huff and Puff should have said. But instead, Huff and Puff rubbed his hands together. He's paging through the catalog of the new yachts that he wants to buy, the new pool that he wants to put in his house in Beverly Hills, and so she goes under the knife, has her breasts hacked off, $50,000 in the pocket of the attending surgeon or the hospital or however they work that out. And then the worst is yet to come. Angelina Jolie becomes the poster girl for preventive breast cancer surgery. And this is how far down the rabbit hole we've gone. We have become culturally conditioned to believe, we have become enculturated to believe that radical surgery like this, preventively, is a really smart and good idea. Well, you know, that's one cure for breast cancer, hack the breasts off. Well, you know, why don't we just cut all the knees out? Why don't all the baby boomers, when they turn 60, get all their knees and all their shoulders and all their elbows cut out and replaced with titanium ones? That would prevent osteoarthritis, wouldn't it? Why don't we do that? Why don't we just remove the gallbladder and the appendix at birth? Why don't we just give everybody a titanium heart? Why don't we do that? Dr. Jarvik said that's a good thing to do. Why don't we just replace people's body parts and make them half man, half woman, half machine like the Borg? Resistance is futile. This is what it's come to, ladies and gentlemen. It is the blind leading the blind through the land of stupid. And here you and I sit on the hill watching all of this nonsense with amazement. I guess this is the penalty for being out in front. I guess this is the penalty for having progressive ideas which are built on fact and the scientific method of objective inquiry and knitting together different data streams in order to form a cognizant, smart, simple solution to a health problem. I guess this is our penalty. We have to watch stupid people suffer and die. Unbelievable. There's no proof that the BRCA gene is in fact a gene, and it's substantiated, in fact, that if you take 200 micrograms of selenium, 200 micrograms of selenium a day, you reduce the occurrence of breast cancer by 82%. But Huff and Puff and all of his colleagues would have you believe that you're going to get breast cancer because you have a breast, because they are clueless as to the true pathogenesis of cancer. They are clueless as to what causes it, and they have no idea how to fix it. So their solution is just cut it off at the pass. Cut off the breasts. I wonder if it was an outbreak of penis cancer, how quick they'd be to have that operation. I just want you to think about that for a minute. I wonder if it was penis cancer, how quick the male MDs would be to do, well, you've got the penis cancer gene, young man, and it looks like we've got to cut old Faithful off. We've got to cut her off. I'm sorry, we've got a new titanium one for you, though, and there's a little hand pump you can use in those moments of intimacy. Huff and puff and huff and puff. Ladies and gentlemen, we have gone down the road of insanity too far. You are the tipping point between sanity and insanity. You are the point of no return between health and between disease. It is itinerant upon you to join Youngevity, join Team Glidden, and help us spread Dr. Wallach's sane message of true health recovery through science-based medical nutrition as fast as is humanly possible before some other idiot goes over the deep end by following the advice of their MDs. Stay tuned. Let's let the schooling begin, shall we? 866-582-9933. That's the number to call. And I want to make one more comment about this whole chromosome genetic thing before we go to the phones. So here's the deal, right? The human being, the human organism, male or female, has 23 pairs of chromosomes if you're healthy, 23 pairs of chromosomes. And the chromosomes contain all of your genetic material, which is referred to as DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. You know what DNA is made out of? It's called deoxyribonucleic acid. You know what the ribo stands for? Sugar. How about that? The next time somebody tells you that sugar is bad for you, say, what the heck are you talking about? My DNA is made from sugar. It is. Deoxyribonucleic acid is made from sugar and many other things. And you know what's one essential mineral that your DNA needs in order to be structurally sound? Lead. Needs lead. If you don't have enough lead in your body, your DNA is going to be funky. It needs a whole host of minerals, selenium also. But specifically, the DNA, the overall structure of DNA, needs lead in order to be structurally sound. I bet you didn't know that. You thought lead was poisonous. Well, it is in a certain amount. But it's just like sunlight. Sunlight is absolutely necessary for health, and yes, too much can kill you. Well, guess what? It's the same with all of the trace minerals like lead. You have been misinformed. Now, we got 23 pairs of chromosomes. They look like X's and Y's, right? You could lay them out on a tabletop with a gigantic magnifying glass, and it would look a little bit like alphabet soup, right? You got X's and Y's, you got 23 of them. Now, the latest genetics research is showing that. So if you stimulated one part of chromosome, let's say 21, right? So let's say you get all of the human chromosomes, all 23 pairs, and you lay them out on a piece of paper or in a petri dish in the lab, and you separate them. Actually, let's say you took one chromosome and put it in one petri dish, and now you've got 23 petri dishes all next to each other, and they each have one chromosome in each of the petri dishes, all right? If you stimulated the chromosome in, let's say, petri dish number 20, you would get a reaction in the chromosome in petri dish number 2. And if you stimulate a chromosome in Petri dish number 13, you're going to get a reaction in the chromosome in Petri dish number 7 or whatever. Einstein referred to a similar observation in quantum physics. If you took a photon in quantum physics, which is a particle of light, and you split it into 2 parts, and you send those 2 parts off into space 1,000,000 miles from each other, but you keep one of them, you keep one of the parts, and you send the other one 1,000,000 miles away, and you reverse the spin on the photon that you've kept. The photon that's 1,000,000 miles away, the spin reverses immediately when you reverse the spin of the one that you have in your hand, even though they're millions of miles apart. I know they're not connected physically whatsoever, as the chromosomes are not connected physically. Einstein referred to this phenomenon as spooky action at a distance. That's what he really called it. Spooky action at a distance. Well, the same thing happens with chromosomes, which means that geneticists have absolutely very, very, very little understanding of what is actually going on in chromosomes, and it gets worse. Because remember, MDs are pig-headed, old-fashioned, out-of-date, one-trick pony philosophy seers of medicine, right? 98% of the material contained in your 23 pairs of chromosomes, 98% is referred to by scientists as junk DNA because they have no idea what it does. It doesn't code for proteins, which, the most famous genes, quote-unquote, do. 98% of your chromosomes, the MDs have absolutely no conceptual awareness of what it does, so they say that it's junk. Oh, it's junk. And, this is why they say that this goes against creationism, because God never would have created somebody with, 98% junk. Well, guess what? It's not the DNA that's junkified, it's your brain that's junkified. You are misinterpreting the data over and over and over. They get it wrong, ladies and gentlemen. They get it wrong. And it wouldn't be so bad that they just get it wrong. Nobody's perfect, but in addition to getting it wrong, they have gone out of their way to tell you that me and the homeopaths and the chiropractors and the acupuncturists and the Ayurvedic practitioners are back of the bus dangerous quacks. They drew first blood. And I'm punching back. 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. I am Dr. Peter Glidden, encouraging you to fire your MD now. To sign up with Youngevity as a member of Team Glidden with the CEO Pack to take a singular stride towards financial security in your life by helping to eliminate the pain and suffering doled out by the MDs every day. That number, 855-347-3696. If you're calling and talking to me live and need to know how to get the supplements at the wholesale price, that's also the number to call, 855-347-3696, 855-347-3696. We're going right to Florida now, and we're going to talk to Irma, I think, who has a question about, of all things, cancer. Hey, Irma, thanks for calling. You are live.
Thank you, Dr. Glidden. I have a 66-year-old lady who's 213 pounds, and she's 5'4", and she's been on the Sweeties and the Ultimate EFA Plus and the Osteo X Plus and the Tangerine for 2 months. And the kind of cancer she has is myeloma.
Multiple myeloma, yeah. Multiple myeloma, yeah.
Yes, sir. And she has a loud heartbeat and ringing in her ears, and ever since her bladder surgery about 5 years ago, her sight has never been the same. And the doctor said recently that her A1C was excellent. She was on Coumadin and Plavix. She has sleep apnea. The doctor said her triglycerides were high, and she has neuropathy, high blood pressure, anemia, protein in her urine, and she had a stroke 3 years ago. She had a blood clot.
Well, she's a testament for the abject failure of conventional medicine, isn't she? I mean, she is the walking poster child for how bad it is out there in the world, and yet the MDs would have her believe that her bad health is her fault, even though it's their duty and their charge and their social responsibility to take care of her health. They have failed her miserably. They've failed her miserably. She's got all this stuff, and by the way, all these things don't just spring up overnight. It's every year there's something else. Every year there's something else. Every year there's something else. And then there's side effects of the drugs. And this is what passes for the best medical care in the world. When I hear about cases like this, I want to openly weep. I want to go to the town square, hold a picture of her above my head, and just start crying. Maybe I'll get some press if we do it that way. Maybe we can bring to light the unbelievable, unmitigated, egregious failures brought down upon our houses by the pharmaceutical companies and the MDs practicing old-fashioned, out-of-date, dangerous, Machiavellian, mediocre medical treatments. For goodness sake, my heart goes out to this woman, and you need to let this be a lesson to you, Irma. This woman isn't getting sick because she's got the bad gene. She's getting sicker and sicker and sicker because she's got the bad doctor. So whenever you see people like this, whenever you come up against people like this girl, you need to double down on your discipline with eliminating the 10 bad foods. You need to double down on your discipline with the nutritional supplements every day. And you need to double down on your determination to show this message of health recovery through science-based medical nutrition to as many people as is humanly possible. Now listen, so she's been doing our stuff for a couple of months, and her hemoglobin A1C numbers are finally good. That means she doesn't have type 2 diabetes anymore. Is there anything else that has progressed for her that you're aware of?
She said her triglycerides are high.
Yeah, anything else get better, though? I mean, besides the A1C, has there been any improvement in anything?
Any other improvement? I have her here.
Yeah. I was on Cumberland and Plastic.
And they took you off of one, right?
No, I took myself off of both of them.
Tell me what's your name, young lady?
My name is Joan.
Joan, thank you so much. All right, you're the smartest girl in Florida, Joan, for taking yourself off of that stuff. For goodness sake, you didn't get a blood clot in your brain because you had a Plavix deficiency or a Coumadin deficiency, right? You had an essential fatty acid deficiency. Now, Joan, have you felt anything positive since going on our program with mood or energy or sleep or aches and pains? Has anything improved that you're aware of or not?
Everything has improved. That's why I took myself off for half of the medicine. I was taking 11 pills a day. I take 4.
All right. So you have all these diagnoses, right? You were taking 11 pills a day. Now you're taking 4, and into the bargain, you're feeling better, right? So things are getting better and coming around for you. All right. Well, so what specifically can I help you with today? What specifically do you need guidance about?
Well, my high blood pressure, I was having a problem with it, but now the only thing it does is like my pressure is low when I get up in the morning, and in the afternoon it goes up. I don't know why. It goes up, and then when I go to bed it be kind of up. But I wake up in the morning I got this morning like 109 over 52.
Yeah, that's good, right? Yeah.
Right, it's excellent. But if around now, I haven't taken it, but it's going up.
So what's the highest it gets lately? Like yesterday, what was the highest number?
Well, the highest is getting lately is like 170. It was going over 200 in the afternoon.
All right, yeah. So it's come down from 200 to around 170. And what's the bottom number when the top number is 170?
It could be 62. My bottom number is always low.
Yeah.
My bottom number, my pressure used to be like 112 or 113 over 48. That was my average blood pressure problem. You know.
Yeah. All right, so here's what I want you to do to get into the habit of doing, just so we can have some type of standard that we're measuring things, especially blood pressure. It's an easy thing to measure, but we have to be smart about it because there's something built into the human body called a biological clock, right? The fancy schmancy doctor talk for that is your circadian rhythm. Every living organism has a rhythm built into it that is relative to, you know, the time of the day and the position of the sun in the sky and whether it's 10 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night or whatever. It's an internal clock that your body has. And the sharpest rise in blood pressure in your biological clock is at between 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning, and your highest blood pressure of the day is going to be at about 6:30 at night. All right, 6:30 at night. So what I would like you to get into the habit of doing is taking your blood pressure at noon, and again right before bed. At noon and again right before bed. What time do you go to bed, by the way?
I usually go around 10 o'clock.
All right, so I'd like you to get into the habit now of taking your blood pressure at noon and then at 10 o'clock at night, and write those numbers down over the course of a week. And it's those numbers that I want you to lean on to see, you know, what your real blood pressures are like. Now, given the fact that you've only been doing this for 2 months and that your blood pressure numbers are coming down, given the fact that your blood pressure numbers are coming down and that you've eliminated, you know, you went from 11 meds to 4 meds and you're feeling pretty good, I'm going to guess that the only thing necessary to do here to support and promote the structure and function of your body to the ability that we're able to do it is just to maintain the discipline. Simply maintain the discipline. Now, you know, which means just keep doing what you're doing and give your body more time to heal, because for goodness sake, Joan, you know, it took like 30, 40, 50 years for these things to develop, right? So they're not all going to go away in 2 months, but inside of 2 months, we should expect what you have already realized, specific and measurable and noticeable positive change. So that means we're on the right track. Really, the only thing probably that's necessary here is just to maintain the discipline. Keep riding this horse, baby, until it takes you all the way into the land of good blood pressure and optimal health, right? So if you wanted to up the ante here, there are 2 things that you can do. And I'm not, you know, whether you need to do these or not, I don't know. I mean, they're not going to hurt you to do these things. But I don't know what your budget is like. I don't know, you know, I don't know what your lifestyle is like. But so there's 2 things that you can do. You can either just maintain the course and see how it goes and, you know, look forward to a slow and steady slide into the land of good blood pressure, or into the bargain, you can add per month 1 bottle of the Ultimate Daily Capsules, 1 bottle of the Ultimate Daily Capsules, so you need to take 6 of those a day, 2 with breakfast, 2 with lunch, 2 with dinner. And that would be the first thing that I would do if I was going to add anything. It would be the Ultimate Daily Capsules. And if you wanted to, you could also take 1 extra ounce of the white liquid calcium a day. 1 extra ounce of the white liquid calcium a day. And you know, it goes without saying, Joan, that you, me, Irma, everybody in the world, in addition to the nutritional supplementation, you need to not even look at the 10 bad foods. And I am as serious as, well, a heart attack. Don't even look at the 10 bad foods, because when you eat that stuff, it's going to mess with your kidneys, mess with your blood pressure, mess with your immune system. It's like kicking somebody when they're down, right? So be really, 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 really good about not eating any of those 10 bad foods. Maintain your discipline. Start to take the blood pressure at noon and then again at 10 p.m. And lean on those numbers for your indication of, you know, what your real blood pressure is like. And hopefully what we're going to see is more of what we've already seen, which is slow and steady positive improvement. Does that sound like a plan?
It sounds like a great plan. I also want to add, because I forgot to tell you, I took myself also off of chemotherapy. I've been on that for 3 years.
Well, all right, so that, in my way of looking at things, that makes you even a smarter girl in class. And remember, I can't prescribe chemo. so I can't legally tell anybody to stop taking chemo, right? Because I can't prescribe it. I can't tell people to stop taking it. In my book, The MD Emperor Has No Clothes, I have a chapter on cancer, and it has 10 questions that every cancer patient should ask their oncologist. And if every cancer patient asked their oncologist these 10 questions, nobody would do chemotherapy, nobody would do radiation, and only a handful of people would do surgery. Because chemotherapy doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's expensive. It stresses the body out. It burns through nutrients. It doesn't do any good whatsoever. I would never, ever, ever have chemotherapy in my own body. I don't care what the reason, I would never, ever do that. And remember, I can't legally tell anybody else besides myself to not do chemotherapy, but I want to congratulate you for not doing it. And, so what do we do to support and promote the structure and function of the human body? Well, you got to be taking 12 selenium a day. 12 selenium a day, and as much Z-radical as you can afford every month. If you can afford it, 8 bottles of Z-radical a month. If you can afford it, whatever you can do, you can do. Look to consistent, slow and steady improvement, to kind of be your guide from this moment forward. And give me a call every 2-3 weeks. I'd love hearing from you, Joan. Irma, keep up the good work. You are the last best hope Florida has for healthy, wealthy life. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, folks. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. I am your host, Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health. Going from Florida to California to talk to Marie. Hey, Marie, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. My question to you today is, if my husband taking the heart medication, is it okay to also take would that interfere with the ubiquinol CoQ10 supplement, even though they're taking like 7-8 hours apart?
No. And, I'd have to specifically know what medications you're taking. But Metoprolol, yeah, I'd have to look it up. The better person to ask that question to is a pharmacist, because if the pharmacist is on their game, then they have a little pamphlet that shows what the interactions between pharmaceuticals and herbal medicines or vitamins are. 99% of the time, if it's a vitamin or a mineral supplement, which ubiquinol is, it's a derivative of CoQ10, then taking the vitamin or the mineral or the essential fatty acids when you take the drug makes the drug work better. 99% of the time, taking the vitamin and the drug works better, because drugs don't work through magic and sorcery and fairy dust in the body. Drugs work by setting into motion biochemical pathways. And what do biochemical pathways need or use in order to work? They use vitamins and minerals and essential fatty acids. So, if it was a perfect world, and if the drug industry were not social pariahs intent only on turning a buck, they would add vitamins and minerals and nutritional supplements in specific quantities into the drugs, and that would make the drugs work better. But they don't want the drugs to work better, because when the drugs work, half-assed, you need more drugs, you need more surgery, you need more diagnostic procedures, you need more time with the doctor, and then you need more drugs again. So it's kind of like built-in obsolescence, when you buy a cell phone and you get the 2-year warranty, and then on 2 years plus 1 week the cell phone dies, right? It's like that. So the vast majority of the time, it's the opposite of what you would think, that drugs work better in a body. Prescription medications work better in a body which is nutrified. And if your pharmacist is on his game, then he has a reference book that he either has, right there, or he has access to it online. But I'm going to say, shooting from the hip here, that there's no negative reaction between those two. But just to be on the safe side, I would consult the pharmacist and have him look it up, because he's the guy that's profiting from the delivery of this nonsense into your husband's body. So that's the well that I would go to get that information. Does that sound good, Marie?
Yeah, but mostly if you talk to them, they say no.
Well, you want them to look it up and say, look, really show me what's the reference for that? What's the biochemical? What's the reference for that? What's the biomedical reference? You know what? Somewhere in my library, I have a book that does talk about that. So I tell you what, we have a 6-minute break here coming up at the top of the hour. So I will reference that, and I'll give you the answer that I can find through my database at the top of the next hour. Okay? And you said that the drug that is in question here is metoprolol?
Yeah, metoprolol.
All right, I'll check it out, Marie. And so just listen at the top of the next hour for my answer after this hard break that's coming up. Thanks so much for the call, Marie. You are the greatest. Keep up the good work. California, again, is calling. I think we have time for Pedro. Hey, Pedro. I'm going to vote for you, Pedro. Thanks for calling. You are live.
Thank you, Peter Glidden. All right, I have a question in regards to supplementation and nursing, and how that works with any medications that are already being taken. And I have a skin condition that I wish that I require help with.
All right. So, again, we're up against a hard break here. So here's what I'm going to tell you real quick for kind of down and dirty advice about supplementing while you're breastfeeding. It's mandatory. It's not optional. It's mandatory. Everything that the mother can do as far as essential nutrients, the baby needs also. The baby has needed them for all 9 months of pregnancy. So hopefully the mother was taking this stuff while she was pregnant. She should take it while she's nursing. As far as I'm concerned, there aren't any contraindications. Quite frankly, it would be much more dangerous for her not to be nutrified while breastfeeding than the contrary. Stick with me through these next 6 minutes, Pedro. I'll answer the skin question when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now.